Welcome back to Unquiet You. Today we are going to talk about why I believe fear is not what you are afraid of and is not what is actually holding you back. So this is a hot topic for me because we're always told that a lot of times we don't take action or we don't go after our dreams because we have a fear of failure, a fear of embarrassment, a fear of what if this doesn't work. I believe as women, we actually fear succeeding more than we fear failure. And I believe that when we can learn how to look at success as a benefit to all of the people around us, not just ourselves, then we're able to get past that fear. So when we have the fear of failure, we believe that other people will judge us. We believe that our spouse and our kids or those who love us may have thoughts if it doesn't work out, right? Like if we invest money in something and it doesn't work, then we failed at it. But I want to ask you the question, like, what if you invest money and create a business and it does work? Then what? That's something a lot of people don't really think about. This came up for me multiple times in my journey. I believe that it is what held me back from starting over and over and over, because if I had success, that means everything changes. Everything changes from who's taking the kids to all the events and the soccer matches and who will be at every school function. This meant that I might have to rely on my spouse more to come home earlier from work if I had a gig at night or if I needed to be somewhere or meet with clients. This meant that me having success in my business and what I love to do would also impact every single person in my life. Whereas I think a lot of times if we have a spouse who has a business and they're working 12 and 14-hour days, we gravitate towards being the one who picks up the children, goes to the events, does all the normal things. And we don't ever question their success. We just know that they're going to go do and become successful at it because we're the one catching all the home drama. And this doesn't mean that men can't have this either and that men don't help, but I just believe women, we are built a little bit differently and we don't want to miss out on the children's events. We don't want to be the parent who has to tell the children, I have to work tonight, so I can't be at your function. And learning that we can have success and still have a family and still rely on our spouse or our loved ones or a nanny or someone who comes in and helps out is okay. Like there's no shame in that. There's no embarrassment in that. Like that is part of the system. And I've also believed that sometimes women fear success in the sense of, if I succeed and get better at this, will I be supported? Will I have the support of my children, of my spouse, of my loved ones? Will people understand it? Will they get it? So many times women they want to start a business, whether it's a side gig or turning a hobby into making money. I know so many women that have like sourdough companies or they work for different companies like Plexus and those types of things. And that is all legitimate business. Like that is them doing something that they love to bring in extra money. And you can have success in that. And you can still show up to your kid's soccer game. And sometimes you can tell your kid you're not going to make it to every event. And that's okay too. But learning that with success does come change, and that with change, it's inevitable no matter what, right? So if we can accept it on a success level versus a failure level, then we're able to see ourselves as being able to be expanded and to constantly grow and learn. One of the things that came up for me a lot is I feared succeeding in the sense of, if I succeed, that means that I'm growing and changing, and I may not be the same version of the person that I was 10 years ago or even 5 years ago. Really, for me, it's more like 2 years ago. But I feared if I changed and I had success, I would see myself different and I would want to do things differently. And what if that meant not everyone I loved in my life wanted to go with me? And I went back and forth on this. And this is where coaching came in so much for me, because my coach was able to really, really get me to see, like, what is the cost of succeeding and growing and learning and becoming the person I truly always wanted to be. And those who came with me, and those who didn't, versus me never doing it and fearing what other people would think, fearing the failure, fearing the success that could come, all because I didn't want the people I loved to have a different view of me. I didn't want to let that version of me go in their minds. Like, they had me as this type of mom, they had me as this type of spouse, and if I change and I grow and I succeed, I'm going to change some. It's just inevitable. It doesn't mean I'm not a loving mom or a loving spouse or a loving friend or family member. It just means that I'm going to change, and things I used to be okay with, I may not be okay with anymore. And like things I used to like, I'm not going to like anymore. So it was really, really seeing that I could either fear succeeding and still go after it and trust that it was the right path with the right people and the growth was only going to support me along the way, or stay stuck and allowing. I would tell everyone, though, they would say, why aren't you starting your business? Well, what if I fail? Well, what if I fail? Because that's what's embedded in our head, is that we fear failure. And it wasn't until I dug really hard into coaching that I realized I actually didn't fear failure. I fell as a parent every day. I fell as a wife every day. I fell as a human every day. And I always accepted failure. So when I would tell myself I feared it, I knew deep down it wasn't fear of failure that I had, but that's just what society always tells us is, oh, you don't start things because you're afraid you're going to fail. But I realized that I was actually more afraid of succeeding, because I was so afraid of all the change that everyone around me would have to take in. And the other thing I think that we fear more than failure is other people's opinions, because we allow those people who we are really close to, maybe they're our inner circle, our family, our closest people, will tell an idea to and they'll automatically shoot it down, or they'll give you every reason why it may not work. And so we are so worried about their opinion of us that we just stall and we just will sit there and not do anything. And that was another thing that I would see come up quite frequently with me, is that I was always like, well, if somebody else didn't think it would work, like, probably won't work. Or what if I try it? Right. And then they're right and I'm wrong. So I think failure is something that we do every day. I can probably count 10 ways I've already failed today by things not going the way I originally planned for them to go. But fearing what other people think of us and fearing success will hold us back in more ways than you can imagine. So I always tell people, I ask myself questions when I'm doing something new, and I'll say things like, if I succeed to this next level, does this mean that my kids may not see me every single night before bed? And if the answer is yes, then I come up with a solution for that. Maybe I only do events on Tuesdays and Thursdays because I know Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, that means I'm going to be home with my children. There's always a solution to every new growth situation that comes up. I always say it's never a problem. It's just with growth comes new things. It comes new opportunities. And even today, as I'm recording this, part of my day was trying to get someone to pick up my child from school. And I just found a solution that worked, and it's okay. She's fine. She'll be at home when I get there, and she loves that I'm doing what I love to do. And I also found that to be true, is that we want to show our children, or even those that support us and love us, that everything's possible, that they too can have whatever that they truly want to have in life. It's just a matter of getting past these fears that hold us back. So I ask you today to ask yourself, what are you afraid of? And what would success look like to you if you decided to go all in? If you decided to go after that dream that you've had all these years, if you've decided to go back to the workforce, or start your own business or go work for someone else, or even if it's just you want to take time for yourself, from your family, like that's growth. And that's a whole different level of succeeding. Succeeding doesn't necessarily mean you have to have a certain amount of money or you have to be doing a certain thing. It's what success looks like to you inside. And I would ask yourself, like, what does success look like and why is it holding me back? Like, what is the fear of succeeding that I'm holding on to? For me, once I got past the fear of succeeding and I started to succeed, I actually saw myself blossom in ways I can't imagine. A personal side of that is through divorce. Like, I knew the minute that I decided that this marriage just wasn't working anymore, like my success shot up. And it wasn't because I was divorcing. It was because I was putting myself in a situation where growth was inevitable. And I had built up so much that no longer served me. It wasn't a supportive situation. And I knew too, as I grew and as I was getting coached along the way, that I couldn't get my spouse on board. Like, I couldn't get him to want to show up and to want to support me. He did the best he could, but it just wasn't in him. And when I realized, when I got myself out of that situation and into a more open situation where I had, funny enough, everything is on me. Like, I have my child I have to take care of. I have my house I have to take care of. Like, I have more quote unquote responsibilities every day, but my success has shot through the roof because I allowed myself to keep going because I knew how important it was internally for me to make this work. So I'm just going to remind you today that everyone is capable of it, that you may have some fear of failure, but I'm guessing deep down, you're okay with failure because most women actually are. Most women know that failure actually leads to more success. And that is not what is holding you back today. That it's probably the fear of being bigger, being louder, and showing up unapologetically as who you are. So I hope this resonates with you. If you have any questions about it, just send me a message and we can talk further about it. Thanks for being here and for choosing to be a little louder, a little braver, and a whole lot more you. If this episode spoke to you, I'd love it if you subscribed, left a review, or shared it with someone who needs it. Until next time, keep tuning in to the fire inside. Stay unquiet.